It's a hobby house update time. Hey, they weren't supposed to hear that noise. All right, so we're doing a hobby house update. We have gotten a lot of work done in the back. I believe we dropped the video where you saw me running the excavator, and there's all this free fence line now. The new neighbors, they're basically building this house as a rental. They pulled the fence line 10 feet off of the old fence line, and it was just a mess of invasives. We had winter creeper, we had Asian honeysuckle, just all kinds of really hard to manage plants in there. And since they built that fence and they built that fence, then they can't get back to actually manage their own property without trespassing, which means it now is on me to manage. So I've rented an excavator. I did all this new rock work here. I dug in the ponds a little bit better, and then I basically scraped all of this, got all the invasives out. Now they're still, of course, alive in the soil. The vines are still there. And so we're going through, you can maybe see off to the left-hand side where we have the wood chips down, and we have quite a few layers of cardboard underneath those wood chips. And so that will smother out those invasives. In particular, that vine is nearly impossible to kill, and it will throw roots down extremely deep. We're gonna have to wait probably 3 years before we plant anything in the areas, at least, that I haven't taken care of yet. You can see these two trees here that are planted. These are peach trees that I put in, and then there's just all sorts of little plants tucked in here and there. It looks like I need to water that guy. Native flowers, things that are going to help improve the soil, help pierce the soil. Because me coming in with that excavator, this stuff turned into hard pan essentially. It's not letting water through. It's not smelling great. It's gone anaerobic on us, and everywhere that I've pulled up, it's like a layer of dirt with a smeared layer of fire truck. We'll wait here a second. Well, all the plant material got smeared and then dirt on top. Just not a good thing. So we're gonna have to, I threw a bunch of wildflower seeds out and everything, so we'll kind of see what happens over the course of time. Now, if we turn around the other way on the right-hand side, you may not be able to see it anymore, but there used to be a huge silver maple over here. Had a tree company come out and they took it down for us. The crown of this tree, it came out this far. It is a very huge old silver maple. I mean, that's 6 feet across at the base over there. And again, all the work being done. This is all hard pan now. What I did do is I put in a chestnut tree and I put in a hazelnut tree for the future. This is 10 years down the road plans essentially, but those are going to overtake in time and give us some shade. I put 2 peach trees in my neighbor's yard as well, different from those, so they'll all be able to intermingle with the crossbreeding and stuff. And then these 2 little, short looking trees that look like they've been pollarded, those are actually mulberries, and they do produce fruit. So I kept those trees. I do need to prune them up a little bit more, get some of those low leaders off of the trunks, and then I'm just gonna play with it. And I was talking about the tree being taken down. Obviously, they left the tree here. I wanted them to do it. I didn't want them to chip it all up. They did chip the tops, and they had a heaping pile of chips for me, which I've been using obviously around the yard. But these I want to use for planter beds and just being able to hold dirt in here and there. Looks like, we have some, what is this? This is a native that's blooming. I'll just look at the tag for you. There's a tag right here. Phlox. I should have known that's phlox. Phlox is blooming. Well, there's a lot of things in this little, it's not even a pond hardly at the moment anymore. I got a lot of natives around there. The line of trees, the fruit trees, you can see they're all blooming now or have already bloomed. This little guy here, this was supposed to be a red bud. It turns out it was not a red bud. It's either a mulberry or one of these trees. I forget what those are called. Hackberry. I think it may be a hackberry tree because there's a lot of hackberries at the location that I took this from. Whoops, I wanted a red bud here for prettiness. I didn't put a red bud in. So, whoopsie. And that's, we got a little bit more down here. I did take out the one, there was a boxwood that was kind of in the edge over here that our filmer was always stepping on top of. It was in the absolutely wrong location. And then once I redid all these rocks, it was even more obviously in the wrong location. So I moved it over here. It may die. We'll see. We got some more hazelnuts kind of tucked in around here and there. Another hackberry that was supposed to be a redbud. Whoops, my mistake. They're kind of hard to tell what they are during the winter time. And then this is a elderberry that I moved, and it was very lush and great looking, and then the deer came in the first night and just absolutely stripped it of almost all the leaves except for this, and there's a couple of shoots down below. Looks like I need to give it some water. It was supposed to be a nice cool rainy week, and then it turned out to be hot and dry, so the perfect timing of moving the plants didn't turn out to be perfect. But yeah, that's the majority back here. I've been doing some work in the other yard. We'll just do another update on that at some point in time. And then this guy, which, yeah, it looks like the deer have scraped that up right there. But this was the first plant that I moved into this yard. And you can see how much damage it got being at my family home. I thought, well, I'll move it over to the hobby house because I've never seen a deer. And tell me if you've heard this story before from me, but I never saw a deer in this yard. In the 5 years or 6 years or however many years it was that I had the house, not one deer, not one hoof print, not one piece of dung, not one piece of crap in the yard, nowhere. And I put this here, and it was 3 days later, 5 days later, it was definitely within a week. I saw deer. They came in, they munched this plant down to nothing. This is a 5-year-old tree. This is a 5-year-old tree, and look at it. But obviously this year it's bouncing back hard. It's, you know, we've only had growth here for maybe a week, and that's a week worth of growth right there. All of these is practically a week. This guy down here, this is almost a foot of a brand new shoot coming up. I will take off some of these lower shoots because there's the root stock is not the same as the top stock. It's not going to flower at the same time. It's probably, you know, a calorie pear, an invasive or an Asian pear sort of species. So it'll take a little bit of pruning, but it's finally bouncing back. And as you can see, I ended up putting tree rings on everything because obviously the deer are going to come in here and just have a smorgasbord. So for the deer smorgasbord, we do have a persimmon over on the corner. I've got some, oh, what are they called? I've got some of the fruits over here. I'm going to put some of those trees in. Osage orange, there we go. There's a few other names for them. Mayapple. No, I'm sorry, not mayapple. What apple? Crab apple. No, not crab apple. I am putting crab apples back there, but the Osage orange is called horse apple. That's it, horse apple. So putting some of those back there. I want to have a nice smorgasbord for the deer so that they can get their fill. They can come in, they can maybe munch on some plants here and there, and then put their droppings all over the place. I want them to come in, I want them to come through, and then the other yard is going to be the one with the fence to keep the deer out, and then of course small fences around each tree that is needed. So yeah, that's where I've been on the hobby house. Rearranging all the rocks with the excavator. I'm gonna have to get into that and make my crawling courses again. They're still usable right now, which is kind of cool, but they do need a little bit more work. I made them kind of more varied, more flowing, got a much better walking path for our camera guy. That's super awesome, I think, because it'll just make it even better to film, easier to film, and more likely that we are going to film. So there we go. If you got any questions about stuff, leave your comments down below. I'll do my best to get to them. As always, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.